Hello, it's the people mentor popping in to talk about conflict in the workplace again. Many moons ago, I can recall walking into a huge storm from two of my team members. I was young and inexperienced and really struggled with how to deal with it. So, what I did was I met with both teams individually and listened to their sides of the argument. And it was all about the previous manager sharing work out, and one felt he had the lion's share, and they'd always been good friends up to this point. So I managed to get an agreement and they would take part in a mediation session, which they attended. As a result, they sorted out their differences and they went back to being friends and getting along with the work. Well, that was my first experience of dealing with serious conflict. I'm really glad it turned out okay, especially as I was given no training whatsoever. So what it did make me realise was that I needed to actively tune into what was going on rather in my team and observe. I'd missed the warning signs of silence and the two team members not speaking to each other. And apparently it'd been going on a while. So taking no notice of conflict doesn't mean it will go away, quite the reverse. As in my case, it can escalate. A negative atmosphere and areas of conflict can make our experiences in the workplace demoralising and a struggle to want to go to work, if we're really honest. It usually affects our performance and our productivity too. So, workplace conflict can range from differences of opinions, violence and intimidation, sexual harassment, bullying and harassment. And you need to understand if you do nothing, then the situation quickly escalates and it can lead to serious outcomes ranging from grievances, disciplinaries, unfair dismissal, and employment tribunals. And you certainly don't want that on your doorstep. So, addressing conflict needs to be carried out openly. It will then create the environment where your team can express their opinions freely and work out their differences in a constructive way that actually respects each other as well. So, where do you begin? Well, the first thing you need to do is demonstrate positive behaviours yourself. So, your attitudes and behaviours have a powerful effect on your team. And when you're dealing with a conflict situation, be aware of your body language and the words that you're using. Really be conscious about this. So, you need to set the right example here. So, to help with that, as previous ones, use active listening, use a non threatening, assertive approach. So, don't go charging in, grabbing them over the desk, whatever you do. And I've seen that happen. Be aware of how people are feeling and be conscious of the impact emotional understanding can have. Sometimes just being in that calm presence can make all the difference. And being self-aware of your actions makes a huge difference to how your team perceive the team environment. Now, if you're a manager who withholds key decisions or business plans because they could be opposed, that's a no-no, and that's not going to help your team. If you fail to pass on information about changes or developments to the areas your team is working on, well, again, that's a no-no. Or if you cancel or defer meetings without a good valid reason, and that includes one-to-ones, then again, that's a no-no. Or if you set unrealistic goals or deadlines, which puts people under enormous pressure, and you also have no clear roles and responsibilities, then you're actually setting up your team for conflict inadvertently, and nobody wants that. So sometimes it's hard to recognize ourselves in any of that, but just reflect sometimes and think about, am I doing anything to make the situation worse? The key thing here is to plan your time in to reflect. And I've seen many senior managers do that. And I'd also encourage your team to review what's going well and what could be even better, and create that space where they feel they can open up without repercussions. And part of your role as a manager or the business owner is to set clear boundaries so everyone knows where they stand. And that needs policies, behaviour statements, and the values of the business. And it's your responsibility to walk the talk, to share and exhibit them and make them living documents. Often you can see roles and responsibilities blurred across teams and the team itself. And as I've talked about, this causes confusion. Okay. And also, when you're creating that space to do problem solving, etc., think about what kind of scenario you're setting. So, what's the environment like? Because that really helps people open up if it feels a comfortable place to sit and actually share. So, how do you turn this all around if you're seeing conflict? Well, work with a team to bring in defined roles and responsibilities to create clarity. Involve the team, as we've talked about in previous ones, so that it gives them an opportunity to share any issues and resolve them. And again, think about the location and where you're holding these problem solves and making sure that you're actually getting the time to do them properly. And once you've reached that agreement, make sure you communicate that so everyone knows and it's kept in a central place. Lastly, let's not forget conflict can be healthy. It opens up new ideas and it helps us get problems solved. But it has to be done in a constructive, respectful manner. And that's when you need to handle the conflict right. And of course, if you don't deal with that conflict, you're going to end up with a frosty environment and more, and nobody will want to come to work. So another thing to do is make sure you're having those one-to-ones on a regular basis. And I always advocate 4 to 6 weeks. And it helps you get to know the different personalities in your team by having those one-to-ones. It identifies possible personality clashes and triggers that will cause it. And it takes temperature away in the current working, really exploring it with the individuals on a one-to-one basis. And it helps you understand where there could be potential flashpoints. And it's interesting because I've seen team members think that there are favourites within teams because their team manager only speaks to them occasionally, whereas they do others more often. So make sure you're being really fair and transparent about all of this. And other times I see teams losing the focus or struggling with the changes going on. And that all goes back to communication again. And often rumblings are going on, and over time it reaches a crescendo, leading to those explosions and an unhealthy atmosphere. So if you create trust in your team and you're having the one-to-ones, you're going to keep those communication lines open, and that really helps. Well, that's it for today. I hope those tips have helped you. Do share in the comments any insights that you have around this area, and let me know if there is any particular subjects that you're struggling with, any problems, and you can do that anonymously. DM me and your name won't be mentioned, and I can always give tips here on the lives. Now that's it for the moment. I will be going live again next week. So in the meantime, ring my bell on my profile to listen to get any more updates. Thank you. And Easter's looming, so have a lovely Easter if that's what you celebrate, and have a good break. Take care. Thank you for listening.